For today. So, if some of you have been following my YouTube, you would have seen that the tuition fees started a few years ago, and there was a lot of protesting about it, about how it wasn't going to work. But they kept on going for it, they pushed it, and the university saw it flopped because a lot of international students couldn't come to Norway to come and study. And Norway is a very small country. They don't really have internationals there. So the free tuition was the one attracting internationals to their country. And all of a sudden, they decided to start charging tuition fees. Not just any tuition fees, they decided to start charging tuition fees like the US and the UK. So in 2025, that's early this year, I made an update that the universities were trying to cut down tuition fees because people are not coming. And we were expecting it to start this fall. Some people are already in Norway studying, but they had to pay tuition fees this fall. But Parliament is like, they don't, it's always the case with Norway. We don't know where the case is at. Universities were confused as to whether they should start charging reduced tuition fees or they should abolish the tuition fees. It was all in shambles, like very confusing as usual. That's typical Norway. So they decided to amend the budget and scrape off those cost covering tuition fees which they imposed in the first place and start charging reduced tuition fees. And universities now have the autonomy to charge their own tuition fees. They'll look at the demand and the supply of students coming. If it's enough to charge this amount of tuition fees, they can be able to charge. And with that, I brought the first big news last week. The University of Stavanger has reduced their tuition fees drastically. We see 60,000 for humanities. This was very different last year. Last year for humanities, they were paying about 100 and something thousand, and this about 125,000. So they've scraped 50% of their tuition fees. And if you're going to do the sciences, you'll be paying 85,000, which was about 200 and something thousand last year. So that's the first big news. Then the second big news is University of Tromsø. University of Tromsø is the next. And last week, if you were in a meeting, I mentioned that University of Stavanger was the first university to start charging tuition fees for international students. So they did, other universities followed suit and set their tuition fees. Now, University of Stavanger is the first university to reduce their tuition fees. Other universities are following. So this is the University of Tromsø. They've reduced their tuition fees. Let's see what's up on their website. So that's University of Tromsø is the same as the Arctic University of Norway. And this is where you can find every information you need. So they just stated it there. The portal is open. So some of you asking which universities have their portals opened. University of Tromsø has their portal open now and it closes November 15th. So you can apply now. And in the first meeting, I showed you how you can apply to those universities. And there is a video on this on the first meeting on YouTube. So you can check it out. If you click on that application portal, it will take you to Student Web. And Student Web is where you can do all your applications. Then I just want to show you the categories for their due tuition fees. So this is how they are setting their tuition fees. They're doing it in categories, just like University of Stavanger. But University of Stavanger just had two categories. But University of Tromsø is having three categories. Humanities, social science, and economic and administrative subjects are in category 1. And these are the tuition fees they are planning to set. So those in category 1 are going to pay 100,500. I was trying to see how much they were charging last year. For University of Tromsø, the difference is not as huge as University of Stavanger. University of Stavanger reduced their tuition fees like drastically. But University of Tromsø is in the news. They were interviewed. The rector was interviewed as to why they are charging significantly higher tuition fees than University of Stavanger, and they said they wish they could reduce it further down, but government cut their budgets like really bad last week. So they have to offset that budget cut by charging a higher tuition fees. So that's why University of Stavanger is having lower tuition fees, because at least they can meet their cost of providing tuition to us. But University of Toronto can't meet that. So they have decided to charge like a higher amount because government cuts their budget so low. But they said this is subject to revision. So for now, this is the tuition fees they are paying University of Stavanger of Toronto. So those that are already in University of Toronto, so next year they're not going to pay this the amounts they paid previously. They'll be paying those new tuition fees. So let's move on to the second school. Oslomet is one of like our top international schools destination. They have also reduced their tuition fees, and now we're having 67,000, which is like 2,000 or 7,000 difference from University of Stavanger. It's the same thing, budget cuts. But it makes sense that Oslomet will be a bit higher than Tromsø, because Oslomet is in Oslo. It's in the big city. Stavanger is down south. So if Oslomet charges even the amount University of Tromsø is charging, that will make more sense. But as I said, the budget cuts. So this is the link to their English program. I would skip this and move on to the scholarship because that's the main agenda for today. But after during the time for the questions and discussion, if anyone has a question on the English programs Oslomet has, I'll click on this link and we'll go there and see. Then, so I try to feature some schools in every presentations I make, and BI Norwegian is one of them today. So today we've had University of Stavanger, UIT, Oslomet, BI Norwegian. But I'll be talking more about BI Norwegian in the next slides. But let's go to the financial requirement. So Norway requires you to do these two things. One, to document your living expenses and your tuition fees. And when you do that, you would have to send the money to the school. I'm going to break that down. So a lot of you have been asking if Norway has block accounts like Germany has, Austria has. The answer is no. Norway doesn't have a block account system, but they have a system of you sending your money to them. But before then, during this application period between October and November, when you're applying for the school, what they need you to do is to document your living expenses and your tuition fees. By documenting, they just need you to submit a bank statement, either your own bank statement or a sponsor's bank statement. That's for now, this application period between October and December. That's all you need to show. If you're going to be expecting a loan, there was a question in the first meeting if there was going to be a loan from a bank or a loan from someone or an institution. You can document that. They don't need a physical cash now. Or if you're already in Norway and you have a part-time job, you can use your job offer letter. So those are the three ways you can show that you have money to pay next year when they give you the admission. So for when they give you the admission, they would send you, I don't know how you would send the money to them because it is between you and the school. Nobody else knows that. It's between you and the school. When the school sends you an email that, oh, congratulations, you have gotten admitted to our school, they would send you the details of how you should pay the money. For now, nobody is sending money. They're not taking money from you. And this whole time you would have to send the money is next year, April, May, June, or even July. Like you're given a long deadline. But that's why today we are going to be talking about scholarships and how miracles happen and you will not even need to send the money to the school. So the first scholarship on the list, this is a very popular scholarship, but it's not so popular in our side because a lot of people have not heard of it. But it's the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship. It's a joint master's program between, so three universities will come together and say, we want students in this field. And most of the master's program are 2 years. And most of them even have this opportunity of, because you've been to three different universities, you're able to build connections and even get to do your PhD after. So this Erasmus Mundo Scholarship. They take part in 16, there are 16 different programs. And the application portal, the period is between, let's just put this to one side. So we have this. This is your page, the link for everything. And it's in different courses. There are a lot of things to digest in this website. So I narrowed it down because it's not for only Norway, it's for the whole Europe. You just choose the country in the filter. So Norway, then you can actually choose how many years you want the masters to be for. But let's not do that yet. Then when you're doing it on your own, you can narrow down the field of study you want. Because most of them, yeah, are for there are a lot of like there's even dance. If you're going to do a degree in dance, there's an option there for you. So all what you have to do is to narrow things down with this filter menu, choose what you want, and then these are all the programs you can apply for. So let's choose one. Okay, internet is slowing. Just go back and let me do this. Copy link in new tab. So this is one of the page. Erasmus Mundus Joint Master on Coordinated Humanitarian Response, Health and Displacement. And if you need to apply, you apply it. But what you need to do is to just read the details of the program. Like it has a lot of information. And if I say I'm going to go into this one after the other, it's going to be a lot. And it's a joint master's program. So you're going to be going from one university to the other. So as you can see, in semester two, you're going to be in NTNU doing your master's there. In semester one, you're going to be in Portugal. In summer, you're going to be in one of those countries. In semester three, you're going to be in Uganda. In semester four, this is you're just going to split in. So that every course at the university you will be in. And it's just the beauty of it. You're not stuck in one place. You're being fully funded. You're traveling to different countries, meeting new people. Like I had friends that came through this program and it was amazing. Today they're in Germany, tomorrow they're in Austria, they're in different places. And there is something for everybody there. But you just have to check and see. So this is another one. That's for health Masters in Health Economics and Management. So these are the universities you that participated. So we have Oslo, University of Oslo is there. So this is just very amazing opportunities that you can have. Let's see if anyone has something I can search. But I know someone asked about aquaculture one time ago. So let's see what option is there in aquaculture. So these are just information or things you can explore on your own, but you just need to be guided as to where to look out for things. So this one has NTNU as their list of schools, and some of the programs will require you to choose two universities you would want to work with, or some one university you would want to work with, or three universities you would want to work with. But that's just different for every program or every course, every master's degree program. So that's the Erasmus scholarship. I'll send out this link to you guys. I think I'll do it in the chat very soon. But let's move on to the next scholarship scheme. So as I mentioned, the period is between October and January. Then this scholarship, I don't know if some of you might have heard of it, but this scholarship scheme came when we were. Okay, I have a question in the chat. if my sister is applying and I'm already living in Norway, can I use my bank statement to prove wealth? I said, yes, you can. If you're already in Norway, you can use your bank statement to prove funds for your sister. You just have to write a letter in addition to the bank statement that you are going to be her sponsor. That's it. You can, definitely. Okay. So this North Step scholarship came when the whole tuition fees thing came. This was in the news, they call it this is band aid to fix the problem. This was the band aid for the whole tuition fees thing they did. And now it's discontinued because it even flopped. They brought out scholarship and the scholarship thing didn't work. Like, okay, I'll come to the chats very soon and I'll open the floor for discussion. But I see the questions and yes, just a second. I'll come to the chats very soon. So this scholarship is discontinued. It was just for some partner institutions, partner countries, a whole lot, and it didn't work, so it's out, it's discontinued. But now BI Norwegian is a private university in Norway, but they have like very amazing scholarship. I was very, very excited when I saw them. Like it's like the Oxford of Norway. Like if you go to BI Norwegian, it's an amazing university, like, and it's very diverse. A lot of people from the UK are there. A lot of people from the US are there. Like it's an amazing school, and they have scholarship. BI Norwegian is a business school, so most of their programs are for the businesses, and the application deadline is March 1st for some programs, and December 1st for executive and PhD programs. So the good thing about this scholarship is when you're applying for admission, application is free. So when you're applying for admission, you just need to say, oh, you want to be considered for one of the scholarships. Let's go to the link over here. So if you're going to apply for Masters of Science, these are the scholarship available for you. All of this, you don't need to send in a separate application except this A. Wilhelmsen Foundation Scholarship. All the others, when you're applying in the application portal and they ask you wish to be considered for scholarship, you choose them. So we have the BI Presidential Scholarship, Master of Science International Scholarship, Wilhelmsen Foundation Scholarship, Master of Science International Scholarship, BI Louis Joint Masters in Marketing Scholarship, Women in Finance and Tech Master Scholarship. Like there are tons of scholarship available in this university. And given it to be a private school, like it's amazing to see all the scholarships they offer because other public schools in Norway individually cannot afford to give scholarship. But this school has a lot of scholarship. So we have these options. Then this is for PhD applicants. So they have their PhD scholarships, but PhD scholarship is a whole different conversation on its own. Then this is the Wilhelmsen Scholarship. You're given 250,000 Norwegian kroners annually. This is very sufficient to pay your school fees and your living expenses. If there are any what's it called? If there are any deficits, they would communicate it with you, but this is just enough to cover everything. And for this, you have to have been accepted into a master's program at a university, and then you can apply for the scholarship after. So this, you would have to send in another letter telling them you want to apply for your scholarship. And this is the BI Louis Joint Master Scholarship. I'm saying that this school is like the Oxford of Norway, and that should give you an indication that you're looking for like very high GPA or high grades or just very strong applicants. So when you're applying, it's all based on your academic excellence from your bachelor's, and that's what they want to see. And those are the things that make it competitive. Because I'm saying it's the Oxford of Norway because people from different, like when I say different countries, I'm not talking about the talking about developed countries like UK, US, they want to go there. There are a lot of people from UK. So most of their programs are in English. They have a lot of programs in English because it's a very international university. Like they do their things very different from any other university I've seen in Norway. So it's between them and Norwegian School of Economics. Those two universities are like top notch. And this is all what you need to apply: CV, scholarship application, letter explaining why you deserve the award, which is typical of every master's scholarship or any scholarship in this world. So when you're applying, you apply at the same time for this one. It covers your full tuition, which is 4 semesters, but you have to be renewing it every year because when you go, you have to do well. You have to maintain at least a GPA of B. Norway's GPA of B is really high. That's like USA or Ghana's A. So you have to do really, 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 really well. And when you do it, you have to sign an agreement that you be the school's ambassador, which is soft work. Like it's just going to different schools and talking about the school or just like soft work. Then the financing alternatives that you would have. So I've talked about scholarship. I just want to make sure we have enough time for discussions and questions. For the financing alternatives, if all this does not work, what can you do? All what you need to do is use your personal funds, your family funds, or get student loans from your home country. I know a lot of students have this opportunity to access student loans from their home countries. Or if you're already in Norway, you need to cover tuition fees for the next year. Given that the tuition fees has reduced, it's very possible that you can be able to pay those tuition fees now. You just have to be diligent in your spending. And now it's a bit doable. When it was in the hundreds, I it was not doable. And you can get part-time jobs on campus, which is very flexible because you don't have to pay for transportation. But it depends on the size of your campus. But you just have to put yourself out there and look for those opportunities. So when you arrive in Norway, you can get those part-time jobs, and that part-time job covers your living expenses for the next year because you don't need to now think of putting in money into one account. Or if it's not going to be enough, you just need a little bit of money to add to your account, maybe like 30,000 to put in your account plus the job offer letter, and then you can renew your visa for the next year. So that's all I have for you for now. Let's go into the chat to see the questions you guys have. Okay, so let me read that. The first question was, if my sister is applying and I'm already living in Norway, can I use my bank statement to prove welfare funds? So this question, I think I answered it, but I don't know if I answered it as much as you wanted me to. Just let me know if the answer I gave was okay. But certainly, you just have to show your letter that, yes, I'm going to be sponsoring this person. Write the name, the school. It's just a short letter, not a long. You don't need to explain too much. Just show your bank statement. Print your bank statement out. Print the letter. Just type the letter. Just a normal letter. Hi, my name is like dear sir. Like just short, very short letter. I just want you to know it's really short. But that's all she needs to upload. What I did was, you just when I was doing my application, I just put everything in one folder so that they can be able to see that it's coming from the same, like it's coming from me, it doesn't get lost or something. So print the bank statement and that letter together in one and upload it as one file. Then, can my friend use hers for me? Yes, your friend can use that. Just write, I am a sponsor of this person. That's just it. She just needs to print a bank statement, do the sponsorship letter. Some schools might ask you to fill a sponsorship form. It depends on the school's requirements. They would have a form or a letter or like both. If they have a form that you have to download from their website, you can download that. But most likely, you just need to have a short letter. Hi, my name is this. I'll be sponsoring this person. When a person gets admission to this university, I'll transfer the funds. So you can do that knowing that you might get a scholarship when the time is ready, or you'll be able to afford the tuition fees. And Just living expenses, I think I need mention when you get to Norway, they return the money back to you when you arrive Norway. As soon as you open your Norwegian bank account, the money is transferred back into your Norwegian bank account. That's the living expenses. My admissions or my international officer told me that the money is mine. They can't hold the money from me, and I can do anything I want with the money. So if you need to send it back to the person who gave you, send it back home or keep it for yourself and spend it. Or if it's your money, keep it for yourself and spend it. Don't spend somebody's money. Please don't do that. So if it's for you, you want to use it, you're free to do whatever you want. Then there's another question. Please, when is Norway's application starting and when do we? So okay, I think I've probably talked about that. So you can apply for scholarship. The scholarships I've talked about, you apply on your portal now. It's open. Apply on your portal. Just the ones that you need to just click that yes, I want to be considered for a scholarship, you click. The ones you need to upload a letter while you're applying for the scholarship, you can do that. And then if you want to move with family, yes, you can all travel at the same time. So far as you have the funds to show for each of your family, so the same living expenses you need for yourself, which was in one of the slides, is the same living expense you need for each member of your family. So if you're two, you need times two of the money that's there as living expense for 1 year. And so this is the amount. I think I should have it over here. So this is the amount for a year, which is 166. So this is about $16,500 or 16,500 euros for a whole year for you as a person. So if you're going with your spouse, two of you need to, if you're going to school, you need to send this times two to the school when they give you an admission. So what people mostly do, one person goes, that same money you can send it to the other person for the other person to come. So you don't need to show the money twice. Like that's the hack. Go get yourself sorted, get a bank account. When you get there, when you're there, you're settled. But then I think there is this thing of, okay, yeah, you can always come before, but you can't come like when it's like few months to your program. So just take note of that. When it's like few months to the end of your program. So now I can open the floor for more. Okay, there's another question in the chat. Is it possible to apply for a scholarship while already on campus? Maybe self-sponsored for the first semester. Uh, it would depend on your school. I know most scholarships will say you shouldn't have a master's already. But I've not heard of such case as someone applied when they're already there. I'm not sure about that. I know you might just get other like grants or something, which I don't know if it's typical in Norway. But if you are already on campus, you might have to apply to start all over again somewhere else. They would say it's for the first year, they're giving it to first year students and all. So I'm really not sure about this scholarship being, I know it's a scholarship you apply when you're already in the count, like when you're, or when you're not in, when you're applying for the admission, that's when you get the scholarship. But I'm not sure you can do it when you're already there and you want to do it for the next year. So that we can check with the school. Then do we pay the fees, tuition fees immediately? Unlike other countries, Norway doesn't have this payment plan system where you can pay in installments. They want you to pay a whole year's tuition fees at once. Like that's what they want you to do. And but you don't need to pay now until next year when you've gotten the admission. So sometimes if you apply for the scholarship at the same time as your admission, when you're getting when it's now time for you to pay the tuition fees, you might have gotten a scholarship and so you don't need to pay for tuition fees. Okay. So now anyone can unmute their mic if you want to ask a question, like I stay here. Let me just stop presenting now. So the floor is open for you to talk. So the floor is open. Just unmute yourself. You can raise your hand. If you can't unmute, I can do that for you. Or if you want, you can also leave it in the chat. Says I have the slides from last 2 weeks. So if you have any question on what we've talked about previously in the previous meetings, I can always share that screen and we can talk about it. So if you want to see the deadline for any school, or if you want to see, if you just want to see, if you want any information that we've talked about in the first webinar series, you can just let me know. And the agenda for next week is going to be the jobs you can do as international students when you go. So jobs for international students in Norway, part-time jobs for international students, and even jobs after school, and where you can find all those jobs. That's the agenda for next week. You can also send your questions in. There's another question, what about undergraduate program? So yeah, that's a good point. And a lot of people wonder. Let me share my screen. So that's from last week. So this page, you can screenshot it. Just let me get that. So this is it. There's a slide. It has been truncated. So you can screenshot this page. This are a list of bachelor's program you can do in English in Norway at different universities. So Nord University, it's up in the north, but it feels like, yeah, they do mostly sciences, so you wouldn't get something related to business. Norwegian University of Life Sciences just have their International Environment and Development Studies program. The new IT, which I just talked about, they have Arctic Adventure Tourism and Northern Studies. The University of Agder, it's down in the south. They have bachelor's program in English. In English, definitely. You can't have a bachelor's program in English and Norwegian. So and they have English literature too. The North is a private university, and it's a smaller university. Okay, I have a hand raised from Jessica. You can unmute yourself. Hi. I don't know why I can't hear. Okay, sorry. I muted my. Sorry. Yes, I think you can. Hmm. You can talk now. I had to mute one of my devices to talk to. Like, yeah. So, Jessica, you can unmute yourself and talk now. Hi, Jessica, you can talk when you're ready. I had to mute one of my devices to unmute my other devices. So, okay. Hello. Hi. For the tuition fee, we don't need to we don't need to pay immediately. No. Until we've gotten our admission, right? Yes. Yes. So does that mean that for the proof of funds,
we have to like send it to the account. It has to be sent to the account before we anything to do.
I didn't get the last part of what you said.
Okay, I said for the tuition fee, right?
Yeah.
You said we don't have to pay immediately. Does that mean that when we travel, when we get to Norway, we can process the tuition fee?
Oh, okay. For immediately, I meant you don't need to send it now. You send it when you get admission, and that's in late May or April. And they usually give deadlines when to send it. Sometimes in June, that's when you have the deadline to send the tuition fees to them. So they would send you the details. I know some schools use two different accounts for tuition fees and for living expenses. So when you've arrived, no, before you arrive, because the school will send you a document that you would use to go and get your visa
Okay.
to show that yes, you've paid your tuition fees, you've fulfilled all the financial requirements, and it's that document you would use for your visa application. Yeah,
So that means that my sponsor has to pay the money
exactly.
for any other thing.
Yes, yes, yes. And if the whole thing
Then for the
changes,
proof.
I was going to say if the whole thing changes and maybe your one sponsor was the one that said he was going to sponsor you and then the money is coming from another person, it's not really a problem. They just want to see that you're paying the money, if that makes sense.
Okay.
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 You had another question, or it's okay? Okay, I see another hand raised. Abu Bakar, you can unmute. Abu Bakar, you can unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Sorry.
You're welcome.
Like this question. Okay. And um, AOTS is put
Mhm. For IELT is okay. Let me let you ask your questions here. Oh,
I said is IELTS as part of the requirement.
So it would depend on the school. When I was applying to Norwegian University of Life Sciences, they didn't ask me for IELTS. I didn't need to prove anything because I did my bachelor's in English. So if you've had your higher education in English and you've had sometimes your high school, if you're going to do bachelor's, if you've had your high school in English, you don't need to prove with IELTS for some universities. I know University of Oslo is keen on bringing proof of English, no matter what. So far as you're not from South Africa, that's the only country that is excluded from proving English during sending TOEFL or IELTS. But most universities, so far as you've had your previous education in English language, you don't need to submit sorry, it keeps saying living expense. You don't need to submit proof of proof of English proficiency. So just check with the school you're applying with. The requirements might change. I know Norwegian School of Economics would have a different requirement. They'll have a different say. And it's country specific. So that was the case for Ghana. Ghana, a lot of our people, when they travel abroad, they fight all the universities. Like if I'm working in a university, I'll fight that university and tell them that people from Ghana are not supposed to submit proof of language. So I'm sure, I don't know which country you're from. Maybe they've been able to do that work for your country and you will not need to provide that proof. So you should be fine if you had your previous education in English. Yeah. And I have another hand up. Let me see. Okay, the hand is down. But if you had your hand up and you want to, okay, Steven. I see Steven's hand up. Yeah. Yep.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I really enjoy the webinar, especially the early part. But along the line, I was busy with work, so I
Oh,
couldn't focus
Yeah. So I wanted to find out, is it possible to, I mean, watch it on your YouTube channel or?
Yes. So today's whole is either that happens. I'm recording it now. I made the announcement in the beginning, but I'll watch it and see if everything is okay with the recording because I used to cover everybody's names for privacy's sake. So I'll check and see if it's good, then I'll upload it. If it's not, I'll just do another recording, like just spoken with the slides about all what we talked about. So there would be a recording for today's own, but it might not be the live webinar if that doesn't work well. But I'll definitely send out a recording. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much,
You're welcome. Thank you for joining. Okay, I see Vivian's hand open. I'm sorry, your hands are up. Sorry. You can unmute your microphone and ask a question. Okay, I don't know if it's I don't know
Thank you for this webinar. So my question is still on the. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this particular, because you said this admission has started. Okay, because you said admission has started. So, but I checked this particular school, the BI economics, Norwegian economics school. So I saw that for masters, I think they are starting December 1st of November. So, but in terms of the scholarship is because the scholarship is still ongoing, right? So, if we are to wait for the BI school that is starting by November, so how do we now apply for the scholarship? Won't the scholarship be closed before then?
Let me see which one I can use. Okay. So the thing about the schools in Norway is that they open their admission portal based on the program you're applying for. So some schools have their even in a school that has their application open, some courses will not have the application open. So for BI Norwegian, if you are seeing the program you're applying for is not open, it will be open in December. It means that's the same time their scholarship will be open. So I just usually give a window so that we can start checking as early as possible so that you don't miss the deadlines because the deadlines are so short. So when I do the presentation, so when I like tell students, I tell them from October to December or till March so that you know that anytime in between this time, it's going to be open. So if that program you're going to apply for is not open yet, it means the scholarship for it is not open yet. I don't know if that answers your question.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. So I have another question.
Yeah.
So I don't know, is there any way you can, or whether you have like a WhatsApp group so that if any of us is applying, I think it will be easier if we have like questions to ask each other, or anywhere we are confused, we can just drop questions, or one or two persons can be able to give their own opinion. I think probably it will be easier because
Yeah.
most of us we like to still do this application ourselves, but along the line we still have to like ask one or two questions on, okay, look at where we're having difficulties.
Okay, so I try to do a WhatsApp channel, but I know that it won't be as interactive as having a group. But my problem with the group is the scam group things like that happens, like someone being hacked and then the person accounts like somebody else is controlling it. That's my fear for WhatsApp groups, and that's why I'm so scared about doing it. But I'll try to find an alternative. There should be an alternative to it. If not WhatsApp group, maybe um some interactive channels.
Telegram, yeah,
It's,
Telegram.
Telegram too has its own flaws, but I've not tried Telegram. Maybe because I've been away from Ghana for a long time. I would see if Telegram will be better, and we can have that. Because I've had a lot of people ask me that, but I've been hesitant with WhatsApp because of the whole spam things. But I'll try to see how I can help with that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And I think I saw another hands raised. If not, let me check in the chat. I have some questions in the chat. I don't know if I answered Juliet's question on WIAC not being enough, because WIAC should be enough for most countries. Plus your application, like you have to have like your CV has to have like good experiences. That's the thing. So I would share this later, but then things you should do to improve on your applications, like having a when you have work experience, it enhances your application. When you have volunteer experiences, especially, they really enhance your application. Then please, is admission for Norwegian University of Life Sciences open at the moment? Let me just check that because I spoke about Norwegian University of Life Sciences a few weeks ago. I really can't keep all the dates in my head because there are a lot. So, I know their deadline is December 1, but as to whether the particular program you would want to apply for in NMBU is open, unless we check the program specific. But I know most schools open October 15th. That was last week. And NMBU most likely will be 1st November because that's when I know, like I told people to apply last year. So first November to 1st December should be the window. But keep on checking. That's why I always put, like, I start announcing or sounding the bell from October 15th that you have to apply. Let's see, there's a question. Sustainable food system program. Uh, at NMBU. Okay, so let me answer Jessica's question. Is the proof of funds being paid for the years of study there? The proof of funds, if you're going to study for 2 years, you just need to show first year's proof of funds, which is usually the hardest, in my opinion. The second one has so much pressure, but the pressure is lighter because you don't need so much money to show because you're already in the country. You've already gotten a job, so you can just use your job contract to show that this, like, I have this job, this is the amount this job is paying. Most jobs pay around 150,000 per year, which is enough to cover your living expenses. So sometimes what we do is to just like have 20,000 in the bank account, create our bank statement in addition to the job contract and use it to renew our visa. So that's when you're already in Norway. So the Sustainable Food System Program, for Joe's question, I think our time is already fast spent. So what you can do is to check on the school's portal and see that specific program. Since you know the program you're applying to, and check and see. They might even have it till next year. And that's how interested and the universities in Norway are. They are very course specific, program specific, and everything else. So I think that's all the questions for today. If anyone has a last minute question, do I advise the first timer to go for BS or MS? I advise you to go for MS. MS is for a first timer, MS. Because, and I'm saying this because of your visa. They are very quick to give visa to MS programs than they are to BSc programs. It's easier to get visa for MS. So go for MS. If you already know when you want to do BS in another subject, you can do that. Or you would want to travel to another country to do a particular program, you can do that. But for a first timer to get visa, always go for masters, no matter the country, even in the US, because they feel we have the BSc program in our country. They feel we have the BSc programs in our country. So why do you want to come abroad to come and do a BSc where else you can do your country? MS, the system will spit you out so far, but then it gives you a foundation. So I always say have a plan B, plan C when you're going to Norway. We don't know how the system will be like. So have an alternative plan because You just have 2 years master's program. The BS program is also 3 years, but it's hard to get into that. When you go for master's, it's 2 years. You have 1 year to find a job. And that 1 year, if you don't have a job in Norway, you can always easily travel to Canada. I'm in the US now doing a PhD. Like you can there so it can just be a stepping stone for you to other opportunities, which will be difficult for you when you're back home. So I don't know if that makes sense. So Vivian, you can unmute your microphone and
Okay,
yeah.
so sorry, this is my last
Yes.
question.
Mhm.
Okay, so I don't know if I heard you correctly before.
Mhm.
You made mention of some schools now, like they are, when you get the offer, they won't request you to like they put the money in their own account again. That some are now requesting for like show them proof of statement, or that's your bank statement, instead of paying the money into their own account. I don't know if I heard you correctly before.
Oh yeah, probably it was a maybe I misspoke. But
Okay.
yeah, you'd have to send the living expenses to them unless you get a scholarship. So maybe that was us.
Okay.
Yeah, if you get a scholarship, then you don't need to send any money to them. Scholarship will cover it
Okay.
for you. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. So I think, is it easy to get a job as a master student in Norway? It depends on how you position yourself. People get jobs, but it's very limited. But when you're in school, it's easier to get a job, a part-time job, than it is to get jobs after school. I don't know if the system is going to change now, but all I know is that the language barrier is a problem. So the plan B will be to just find a job in another country. I just like go to Canada. That's like the last resort for people. Go to Canada. And you would realize that Norway is just good in their education. But living there after school, for me, I'll just tell you, go find a place to build your career. If you really love Norway, you can always retire and go and stay in Norway. But it's just they have very good education. Get their education, work for 1 year, 2 years, just go and start your career somewhere else. Like that's my advice I give people. But a lot of people are still interested in studying in Norway. So I just give you all the information you need to apply.